Hey everybody, Eric J here, Vanguard at Mythicos Mano, and tonight we're doing something special. It's the first in a series called Mythicos Mano y Mano, where we're highlighting the hobbyists, the members, and especially our Vanguards. And tonight I have with me Frank Du Hudson, who is one of our Vanguards for historicals, and I'll let him talk to you about that and the games that he likes. So Frank, we're here on a Friday night, and I know you're playing some AOS, but talk to me about some of the games you're Vanguarding and why historicals are so important to you.
Sure. So, for those of you who are on Facebook, you'll know me as Frankie Hudson, which is a nom de guerre. My actual name is Frank Pasella. And as somebody who grew up in the Hudson Valley area, for those of you who know, you know. For those of you who don't know, you're about to find out it's an extremely historical place. The Revolution was fought in and around the Hudson Valley area. There was a whole campaign that happened in the Hudson Valley. It's called the New York Campaign. It was in the very early years. Washington nearly lost the war there, but somehow through brilliant leadership, ridiculous strokes of luck, and just the stubbornness of his men, survived, got out of there, went to North Jersey, and the war continued. And here we are, 200 and change years later, as a country. So for me, it's a fascinating thing to even look at, and even more fun to game. So I do a ton of stuff. I do black powder, obviously, as you could hear from the intro. I also do bolt action, which is a World War II, almost a skirmish style game. Here it is.
Available at Mythicos.
I myself actually have a 1,000-point narrative list of the Africa Corps painted up using contrast paint, and it was ridiculously easy. I think one model took like 15 minutes. So,
Yeah, I love the contrast. That saves my life.
it's the easiest stuff. And you know what? When you're painting uniforms, especially historical stuff, because you're not doing crazy detail, it's khaki. And these are mass-produced uniforms, so it can look a little splotchy. And these guys have been in campaigns, so it can look a little more dirty than usual. So, it's even easier with historicals. But, I do that. I also do Black Seas. And then, oh, yeah, we also have, and by the way, this is a fantastic box because you get the rule book in it, as well as several starter ships. So, and you also kind of need this to even play the game because it comes with the weather gauge, some rulers, all sorts of stuff. So that is a great box for the price. And I also do, I'll pull this one out here because it's a little far away. Here's the black powder one. We have this at the shop as well. This is a fantastic box. And then I also do Hail Caesar as well, which this is SPQR, which is the skirmish version of Hail Caesar effectively.
And also a great restaurant in Manhattan.
That's a fact. We live in North Jersey. We have to plug the good restaurants. That's the culture. But this box is totally useful for actually building a larger Hail Caesar force. So for those of you who play 40K, you play Kill Team, same basic concept. You can use your Kill Team army to build into a larger 40K army. You can use your SPQ army to build into a larger Hail Caesar army. So I do basically anything that has to do with people killing each other throughout the centuries. And, I just think it's a fascinating thing.
So your love of history came before you got into gaming? Is that something that pushed you into gaming?
Oh yeah, my family's extremely historical just by its existence. I've had, my family first emigrated on my mother's side from Northampton in England in 1812 to Louisiana. Yeah, and then just so you know, I'm old blood American. We've been here for more than 2 centuries. But then my father's family is from, they're the classic mutts. It's Italian, German, Welsh, you name it, and they came over in, I believe, the earlier part of the 1900s. And then I have Norwegian family. I have in my family Norwegian resistance fighters. World War II veterans. My great grandfather got a Bronze Star in the Second World War. He was a staff sergeant, 42nd Rainbow Division. One of my ancestors, my direct ancestor, actually, John Henry Farmer Spearing was an artilleryman in the Washington Artillery during the Civil War in the Confederate Army, and I have his parole papers from when he was mustered out at the surrender at the courthouse. I've forgotten the name of it, Appomattox Courthouse. So
I was going to be no help there. Just so
I was on the spot. I had
to. Was looking for me, but
I was fishing, but I got there. It took a second. So, my fascination has been essentially lifelong, and you might even say started before me.
It sounds like the family history's there. So, as far as being a Vanguard, from your perspective, why did you become a Vanguard? What is it that makes Mythicos Studios a special place? There's a lot of places you can go to game, including your basement. So why Mythicos Studios?
Your basement, your bedroom, your living room. Pretty much. Any room you want to turn into it, any room you have space for it. So that's a lot of questions, and all of them are very good. And I think the easiest way to answer all of them is with a single answer. I play the games, and that's the easiest answer for you. I play the games, and Mythicos facilitates all of that. It's one of the only places you can go, and I'm talking directly to the camera right now because you need to understand that in the world of hobbying, by and large, we are always overshadowed by card players. And look, I have nothing against it. Look, I play with little toy soldiers. They play with pieces of cardboard. Like, we're all grown men having a laugh here. So I'm not making fun of them. But what I am certainly saying is that it's very easy as a card player to find a venue. As a wargamer, it's almost impossible. This is a place, although you can play cards here, I don't want to alienate card players, you can absolutely, they sell Yu-Gi-Oh!, they sell Magic, they sell everything. But it is a place geared towards serving people like me, and that doesn't really happen anywhere. So the other part of that, too, is because I'm here all the time, and I would like to think that I'm a reasonably sociable person. And, as a hobbyist and as a wargamer, I'd love to, have more opponents, get more people into the eras I love, and also kind of discover new ones. It's kind of natural for me to want to be a Vanguard because it requires a sort of an exploratory sense of curiosity about games and systems. And, what better way to do that than with other people and grow it yourself? So it's kind of,
I think one of my favorite things about Mythicos Studios is the fact that it's kind of turned the wheel on what a gaming facility is. Whereas most places are a retail entity that sells the product and allows you to game, Mythicos Studios is a social club about gaming that also sells the product. So it's here for the hobbyists and the players and the gamers, as opposed to being the other way around.
Oh, there's people that show up and all they do is paint, right. and they produce stuff that, I mean, any good historian has gone to a museum, and any good historical museum has a diorama. A lot of these guys who just come here and paint, they don't even play. They paint museum-grade quality. It's beautiful.
100% correct.
Yeah, and, like the terrain, too. Like, you look around, and, I mean, even the Age of Sigmar stuff. Oh, I also play Age of Sigmar.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll get there in a second. But the Sigmar terrain here is wonderful. The 40K terrain is out of this world. The Necromunda stuff they're coming up with is crazy. But, just even if you're not even rolling dice, if you're just putting paint on a brush and putting it on a model, it's just a hangout,
So, since Frank brought this up, I'm going to fly this in.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little tenuous. I'm not going to use the flying
dice.
dice.
It's not attached to the flight stand yet.
There you go. Many of you might recognize this. This is one of the Karajan Overlords flying models, and I'm going to give this to Frank. So Frank in our upcoming campaign is playing the Karajan Overlords, and he has a unique perspective on his army, and I'll let him describe it to you.
Sure. So we're doing a narrative campaign, and I myself really only play narrative games. That's not to say I don't appreciate the tournament scene. Some of you people out there who are watching this might have seen me in a tournament scene before. I just think narrative is the best. No battle is ever perfect. No battle is ever totally balanced. No battle is ever, at least in history anyway, no battle ever is totally dead even. And I think the most clever things I've ever seen on tabletop, some of the most incredible things I've ever seen on tabletop, come when there is that element of unfairness. So, you can play your 2,000-point game, whatever,
right?
But there's some sort of special spice added to it when you have that imbalance. So anyway, and I say that as somebody who's often on the losing side, by the way. So, yeah, right? I think we're all been there. When you roll ones, it's hard to come back from that. But the point is that with these guys, first of all, I love the Barrack Zilfin lore. I think it's fascinating, because you think of, these are dwarves, obviously, Dwarven, they're, whatever. You think of dwarves and you think stocky, heavy, they don't move, they just kind of hold a piece of ground and they beat you to death with a hammer, and they're not fast. Barrack Zilfin in the lore is the total opposite of that. Their whole thing is they want to be fast, they're the city of the wind or whatever the thing is. So I just thought that was such a cool thing where you're taking dwarves and you're doing effectively the polar opposite. It's a unique twist that was, and we always make the joke of like, the dwarf marathon runner. We dwarves are natural sprinters, right? Quote unquote. But I just thought that was so cool. So I kind of took that and I ran, and I'll put this up close. I did a bit of an original take on the paint scheme because I do like having my own little flair. But then the other thing too was, okay, so my logic was I want to do something original, but I want to base it off of something that's already there to give it an anchor point. Mm-hmm. So my logic with my army is that it is from Barrack Zilfin, but it is actually a cartographer fleet. And that works for the tabletop games we play here because we just create terrain. We just create tables.
So what I love about that, the whole cartography of it, is we are starting a map-based campaign in a couple of months. And the fact that they're actually going to be wandering around trying to put a map together of these new territories while we're fighting each other on these territories, I just love.
Oh, yeah. And the thing, too, is because this is the army, or rather the city port of being fast, Who do you want to map? Brand new. You want somebody who can get in, do it fast, and
Get
get
out.
out. So that's why they're the city of the wind.
My only question is I want to understand why this guy, the driver, doesn't have a box underneath him or a phone book so that he can see over the steering wheel.
Well, it's just you could reflect off the metal, I guess, is what they're doing.
So this is again Mythicos Mano y Mano with Frank Hudson, Vanguard here for historicals, player of many other games. We're going to be talking to more people as we go forward. Come on in, check out the store. This is the Mawa store. There's a store in Randolph as well. We have games going on all the time. Protocols are always followed. You can see we have a mask on. So for Eric J. and Frank Hudson, Vanguards here at Mythicos Mawa. Thanks, and we'll see you from the first.
If I may, just real quick, one more thing. For those historical players who do exist and are out there, I know as a historical person, a constant concern is, well, everybody plays their own scale, everyone plays their own era. I have 28 mil, you have 15 mil. I only play this war, you play that war. We have stuff in my collection and my other historical Vanguard compatriot, Steve's collection, ranging between 10 mil to 28 mil, American Revolution all the way up to Risorgimento, Civil War. We've got 28 millimeter English Civil or 100 Years War. We have so much stuff. So not to prolong the video, but just to say, if you're out there and you do have a collection, post on the Facebook, because somebody A might have it, or B, we might just get into it ourselves. So never be afraid if you have your own collection to advertise what you have.
And I know Frank and Steve and John, his partner, Vanguard, will always have enough to help demo a game for you guys, anybody coming in that wants to try something out. So come on down, get on the board, the Mythicos Studios, and let's have some fun. And once more, we'll see you from the other side of the table.
Bye.